For years, Song Ha-Yoon's name was far from the headlines. Active since 2003, she was known only for secondary or supporting roles, living in the shadow of big names in Korean television. But everything changed in 2017 when she played the sweet and passionate Baek Seol-hee in Fight for My Way. Her performance captivated audiences and earned the actress her first major recognition. Still, stardom seemed far off. It wasn't until 2024, 7 years later, that Song Ha-Yoon finally exploded as a national phenomenon by playing the villain Jung Soo-min in the drama Marry My Husband. Her character was manipulative, cold, and treacherous, yet irresistibly addictive to watch. Ironically, it was by portraying such a hated character that the actress gained her largest fan base. With fame came attention, interviews, new contracts, and a new wave of followers on social media. For the first time, Song Ha-Yoon was at the top. But, as happens with so many celebrities in Korea, success came with a heavy burden: the past. In April 2024, shortly after Marry My Husband ended, a JTBC program aired a bombshell accusation that shook the country. A woman identified only as A claimed to have been a victim of brutal physical assaults during her teenage years, and stated, unequivocally, that Song Ha-Yoon was responsible. The scandal erupted like a bomb. In a country already accustomed to revelations of school bullying involving celebrities, the case was met with outrage. But the biggest shock came from the contrast. How could an actress who had just won the public's affection with her brilliant performance now be accused of such a cruel assault? Thus began the fall, or at least the first major blow, to a star who seemed to be just starting to shine. The woman who accused Song Ha-Yoon of physical assault was not a stranger. She claimed to have studied with the actress during elementary school and revealed shocking details about the star's alleged behavior off-camera. According to the testimony aired by JTBC, Song Ha-Yoon was involved in serious incidents of school violence, including beatings inside the classroom and even assaults with objects. One of them, an iron hairbrush. The victim reported years of psychological and physical suffering, developing severe anxiety and an extreme phobia of school. The story quickly took over the media and social networks. It was an explosive mix: a newly famous actress, a hated character in the season's most watched drama, and now, a serious real-life accusation. The Korean internet, especially on the online forum Nate Pan, known for driving public debates, dived into the scandal. Opinions were divided, but the prevailing sentiment was one of distrust. Many said, "She played the villain so well because that's who she really is." The situation was worsened by the way the actress's agency responded. Instead of firmly denying the allegations or providing concrete evidence of Song Ha-Yoon's innocence, King Kong by Starship issued a generic statement saying they were verifying the facts. This prolonged silence sounded to many like a veiled admission of guilt. The lack of a direct response allowed doubt to settle in, and in a country like South Korea, where school bullying accusations have destroyed many careers, this was fatal. Days later, the agency stated that the actress completely denied the accusations, but by then, the damage was done. JTBC itself revealed that the investigative production took 2 years to gather evidence and testimonies, and according to the lead reporter, several people who studied with both parties confirmed that A was, in fact, a victim of school violence, without directly naming Song Ha-Yoon as the culprit, but leaving the public to draw their own conclusions. To make matters worse, an alleged former classmate of the actress posted an online letter confirming that the school environment at the time was hostile, and that there was indeed a dominant group of girls who engaged in bullying, and that the current actress was part of it. Although the author's identity was never verified, the letter went viral, further fueling the ongoing cancellation. It was the beginning of a media storm no one could have imagined. Song Ha-Yoon's meteoric rise was quickly swallowed by a scandal that called into question not only her public image, but also the continuation of her career. By this point, Song Ha-Yoon's name was no longer associated only with the fictional villainy of Marry My Husband, but with a real-life scandal that deeply wounded the Korean public's sensibilities. While forums buzzed and hashtags demanded a statement, the actress remained silent. No public appearances, no emotional statements, no first-person interviews to clarify the facts, just cold agency notes. This silence was interpreted as arrogance by some and fear by others. After all, if you're being unjustly accused, isn't it natural to want to defend your honor as quickly as possible? Especially in a country like South Korea, where public opinion shifts like a whirlwind. With each day of silence, the tide turned further against her. The situation spiraled out of control when brands began discreetly erasing any trace of the actress from their campaigns. Commercials featuring her were pulled from the air, old posts were deleted, and advertising contracts, once promising after the drama's success, were abruptly terminated. Song Ha-Yoon had become too risky a name to be associated with any product, and that's practically a death sentence for a rising celebrity. At the same time, anonymous profiles began appearing on social media, claiming to have studied with her and presenting conflicting versions of the story. Some defended the actress fiercely, saying she was shy, reserved, and never involved in any aggression. Others, however, corroborated the victim's account. And more, they suggested a pattern of cruel and elitist behavior among certain students at the school in question. Chaos ensued. News portals fed the frenzy. With every new piece of information came a flood of theories, analyses, and exposés. YouTube videos with titles like "The Truth Behind Song Ha-Yoon" and "Does She Deserve a Second Chance?" went viral, generating even more pressure. The case was no longer about guilt. It was about narrative. And the dominant narrative was that at the very least, there was much to be explained. To top it off, a well-known Korean criminal lawyer appeared on a late-night debate show and provided a legal analysis of the situation. While he stated there wasn't enough evidence for a formal conviction, he emphasized that in the court of public opinion, the damage to the actress's image was already irreversible. When it comes to school bullying, South Korea doesn't forgive, especially if you're a famous woman who just rose to prominence. The actress's silence, combined with the lack of concrete evidence of her innocence, fueled a new wave of cancellation. Fans who had recently defended her began to distance themselves. Comments like "I was a fan, but now I can't watch anything with her" became common. Time passed, but the scars of the scandal didn't fade. After the most turbulent months, Song Ha-Yoon didn't return to the screen. No new projects were announced, no advertising campaigns were revived, no interviews were published. By the standards of the Korean industry, her disappearance was already an answer. The actress had been, at the very least, put on silent mode, an informal exile that so many others have faced after similar scandals. Some fans still hoped for a triumphant return. They hoped that, like other celebrities who faced controversies, she could clear her image over time. But the truth is that the kind of accusation she faced doesn't vanish with time. School bullying, especially when it involves physical violence, is an extremely sensitive issue in South Korea. Society doesn't forget, and often it doesn't forgive. Rumors circulated that the actress was considering changing her stage name again, noting that Song Ha-Yoon was already a fresh start after debuting as Kim Buell, or even leaving acting altogether, but nothing was confirmed. No live streams, no open letters, no formal apologies, whether for the accusation itself or for the impact it had on her fans. And it's precisely this silence that continues to divide opinions. Some say staying quiet was the best strategy to avoid further fueling the controversy, but others see it as a fatal mistake. In the age of digital cancellation, the public wants, and demands, a statement. They want to hear from the person themselves what happened, even if it's an apology for something that wasn't done, because the absence of a narrative leaves room for other narratives to take over. And that's exactly what happened with Song Ha-Yoon. Today, in mid-2025, the actress remains off the radar. Her name rarely appears on lists of candidates for new projects, and her social media remains inactive. The industry, already harsh on women over 30, becomes even more unforgiving when a scandal is involved. And unfortunately, this may be the reality Song Ha-Yoon faces now. What remains for Song Ha-Yoon is a mix of uncertainty and silence. Her career stalled just when it was set to take off. The shine she had finally achieved was overshadowed by a shadow from her past, one that may never fully leave her. But the question remains, does she deserve a second chance? Will the public be able to separate the artist from the teenager she once was? Or will Song Ha-Yoon, like so many before her, simply fade away without even being able to tell her side of the story? The answer, as always, lies in the hands of the public. And now I want to hear your opinion. Do you think Song Ha-Yoon was a victim of a rushed judgment? Or is she truly reaping the consequences of a dark past? Do you think she should speak out? Or is silence the best response in cases like this? Comment below. Your opinion could shape how this story is remembered. And if you enjoy videos like this with in-depth analyses, real stories, and controversies that stir the heart of Korean entertainment, give a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video. Until then.